So, error handling. It's important to ensure that Express catches all errors that occur while running route handlers and middlewares. Errors that occur in synchronous code inside route handlers and middlewares require no extra work. If synchronous code throws an error, then Express will catch it and process it. So, for example, let me switch back to the Visual Studio Code. In here, here's an example of a simple error. So I have app.get. If there is an error, I'm just going to invoke this throw new error, inside which I'm going to type in my error message. So in here, I'm just saying broken, and this is the error that Express will catch on its own. For the errors returned from asynchronous functions invoked by route handlers and middlewares, we must pass them to the next function, where Express will catch and process them. So for example, let's write our code, and let me show you real quick. So I'm just going to first of all comment this out, make some space here, and in here let's say var express equals require express, initialize the app, and in here I'm just going to type in get, add the handler, request, response, and next. Notice here I've added next, since we're going to be handling the error. Now I'm going to be using the file system. Okay, so I'll just say fs dot read file. Okay, so this was I think this was added directly by Visual Studio Code. We don't need this at the moment, so I'm just going to say read file, and I'm just going to give it a dummy path. So I'll say file add a handler, in here let's handle the error first. So I'm just going to say error, and if it's an error I'm just going to add it to the next handler. So I'm just going to say error, and this will actually be passed on to Express. Alright, and else, I mean, you know what to do with else. It's going to say response.send and data. Alright, perfect. I'm just going to say app.listen 3000. Alright, I'm just going to run it. And I'm going to send a get request. Alright, so I got an error here. Oh, okay, it is giving me that fs is not defined. Did I not define the file system? Let me see. Oh, okay, so let me quickly define the file system. So fs equals require fs. Alright, now let me close this, clear this out, and run this again. Go back to the Postman and send the request. Alright, so here this error was thrown directly by Express. So what we did here is that we didn't handle the error ourselves. We just passed it on to the Express's event handler and allowed it to handle it. So Express actually comes with built-in error handler that takes care of any errors that might be encountered in the app. this default error handling middleware function is added at the end of the middleware function. So if you pass an error to the next and you do not handle it in custom error handler, it will be handled by the built-in error handler that the Express provides. The error will be written to the client with a stack trace. The stack trace is not included in the production environment, so we have to be sure that we turn on the production environment if we want to deploy the application and we want to track the errors. Express default error handlers will set the HTTP status to 500. So if you notice here, it is set to 500, and it will send a text response to the requester, and it will log the response in the console. So we got a text response here, and we got a log response in the console. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about is writing the error handlers ourselves. Okay, so writing the custom error handlers. So I'm going to give you a short example here in just a moment, but we have to first understand the Express error handler takes in 4 arguments. So those 4 arguments are error. Okay, let me comment this out so IntelliSense does not mess this up. So error, request, response, and next. So they must be placed in after all the middlewares and routes. Express will stop using its default error handler once you create a custom error handler. To handle an error, you need to communicate with the front end that's requesting the endpoint. This means we need to send over the valid HTTP response like Express did here with its 500 error status code, and also send a valid response. Okay, so for an example, let's say if you were to write an example here, the custom error handler would look something like this. Alright, so we would say app.use, and inside here, like I said, we need error, request, response, and next. So we'll have error, request, response, and next. Alright, now in here we're going to handle it. So let's just say we had a bad request error. Okay, so and the error code that we're going to send for the bad request error is going to be of error 400, of the status 400. So it will be response.status of 400, and we're going to send a valid response as well. Okay, so it'll be just response dot, let's say we send error caused due to bad request. Right, so this is an example of a custom error. Alright, so let's move back to the slides. Okay, so I think we are at the end of this session. This is good that we have covered the Express in detail. I mean, not that much in detail. We covered the basics, introduction, right enough to get started. But in the next session, we're going to be covering how to integrate Express application with Mongoose and use MongoDB. And we'll be covering both of these in detail and how to use it, how to build your first project using Express and Mongoose in the project sessions. Alright, so in the next session we're going to be covering, like I said, MongoDB. We're going to be covering the basics of NoSQL databases. We'll be doing refresher on promises. We'll be understanding what is MongoDB and how to install it, and we'll go through the fundamental concepts of MongoDB. Okay, the next thing I want to mention is that we also provide live private coaching sessions. So if you ever get stuck with Express or Mongoose or MongoDB, or just any of your projects that you're working on, you can book a time with me, and I will be sure to explain it to you and help you with any problem that you may have. Okay, I'll speak with you in the next session. Take care.